Welcome to CivilNet. My guest today is a very special guest, somebody with whom we've talked on Skype in the past, and it's very nice to have in the studio. Cengiz Aktar is a professor, a journalist, a public intellectual in the way in which we had more of. And Cengiz is known for many things in the issues of Armenia-Turkey, Armenian-Turkish relations, and not simply Armenian-Turkish relations, but political development in Turkey over the last period. And we have many things to talk about. Let's start with first saying thank you to you, and then talking perhaps about the most painful topic first, and then we'll go to more political and philosophical topics. We'll start with the whole topic of apology. And I'll say something that Armenians don't often like to hear, but I'll say it anyway. I've never been one to seek an apology. I think it is not just wonderful, but gratifying in a way that only this kind of thing can make gratifying. What is really most gratifying is when Turkish friends, colleagues, strangers acknowledge not just my pain, but acknowledge the fact that I existed. I existed on those lands, and I have a claim to them, an emotional claim, a memory claim, a historical claim. I don't know what claim. That's a different matter. But a claim, I belong there somehow. And so for many like me, what is most gratifying is the ability to hold such a dialogue and not the apology itself. Is that a reaction that's common? How did you get to where you got to with the need to do the public apology? And did you receive the reaction you expected? Because I have another solution to this whole thing. I'll tell you that later.
Well, you will tell me your solution later, indeed. Yes, that was not an easy endeavor, frankly. It came right after the assassination of Hrant, and it's not a surprise. I mean, it's not, couldn't be otherwise, frankly. It
couldn't be otherwise that there was such a reaction afterwards.
So, but it was certainly a taboo-breaking milestone. But it's in the past now. On the other hand, it's over 3 years old. By the way, the site is still functioning,
despite small, temporary, major.
But I mean, every day there are 3 or 4 individuals. Turks, Kurds, who are signing this apology, which says, I think, a very basic thing. It says somewhere in this, among these 4 sentences, I think the third one is, or the last one, the first part of the last one says, well, my conscience can't accept the fact that such a horror has been ignored for so long time. And I think this is key. This is really the key. I mean, it's a kind of answer to what you felt when you heard about it first time. And I think this is what moved us, what made us going ahead and defying not only a taboo, but in a way defying the state and maybe defying ourselves. So,
you know, as you know, I visited for the first time some historic Armenian lands, cities in eastern Turkey. And for the first time for myself, I've begun to think about apology in the following way. That as satisfying and gratifying as it is to hear that from individuals in Turkey who share the pain and acknowledge my existence, I don't expect it or seek it or demand it. However, I've now come to the conclusion that I do expect, seek, and demand an apology for the denial.
I think we are heading there, definitely. I mean, there are some friends, I mean, who think that now the time has come to make a call to the state for whatever it means, and it will imply for the state reparation, you know, giving back the land or whatever. I mean, it's up to them. I mean, I'm not talking for the state, but there are many Armenians who think that way, I know, but
and many who don't.
Stately, yeah, exactly. I mean, the stately apology is looking as though, with the 2015 on the horizon, is becoming something which is thinkable. But you know, a word of warning there, really. I don't myself expect the Turkish state or any Turkish government to apologize between now and 2015. I consider that it's not my business. I'm working on the second track. I'm representing myself, and all my colleagues are representing themselves. They are not doing it for without any expectation on anything, if not to. It will be a heavy word, but I mean to clear this heaviness that exists in these lands since 100 years. I think it's an overall introspection which will take long time, but it is first of all a Turkish exercise, or Kurdish for the matter, which of course is directed towards Armenians, but not only, towards Syriacs, Rums, Greeks, and all those groups of the Ottoman Empire, be it ethnical or linguistic groups, who were suddenly declared illegitimate by the necessity for the state to invent a nation. Probably that was the worst thing that happened to those lands in the last 150 years. So I mean, you imagine the task ahead, and correlatively, I think what the state might do or might not do or say, frankly, it's not at all my concern, because I think that this return of memory that I Google belongs to the society, belongs to the individuals. I mean, the individuals should realize openly and publicly that what happened to Armenians and all the others is also their own catastrophe. I mean, Anatolia was an irrecognizable piece of land after the departure or the annihilation of all these non-Christian groups after 1915. So it's
Christian groups,
exactly.
the non-Turkish groups.
So this work belongs to the society. I think it's of course I fully understand the necessity for all these judicial and the juridical purposes, the importance of the recognition by the Turkish states.
Put the human first.
Definitely, and I think that's the most solid element of it. Moreover, I mean, regarding the state, I would like to add one point. Of course, not everything stopped at 1915. I mean, as my friend Hrant used to say, the creation of the Turkish Republic, there were some 300,000 Armenians still in Anatolia. So why there are 60, 70,000 today? I mean, I think it's a very legitimate question. So it is not only just the Ottoman Empire did it, so we have clean hands, etc. But to go back to these second track or societal introspection. I think this is the most solid and most valid way of reconstruction, reconstructing the future.
And there's no, whatever the state does, this is essential. It may not be sufficient, but this is essential. Otherwise, the state can't do anything else. You know, we keep talking about the taboo being lifted after Hrant's assassination. It's clearly been lifted. We're having this conversation. We have such conversations in Turkey. Has that kind of taboo also been intellectually and academically lifted? Are there two camps in Istanbul? We'll leave alone the rest of Turkey.
For a denialist, whatever his or her qualifications are, they can't go beyond the sixth sentence. I mean, the academical, background of a denialist is very, very limited. Therefore, I mean,
because there are no tools.
I mean, how you can hide such a thing? I mean, it's
but how are the professional relationships, your academic relationships, your journalistic
well, I mean,
relationships?
and after the sixth sentence, they start to swear, or quit the room, or the. So I think this is, and the youngsters are fully aware of it. I mean, the young generation is not swallowing all these gross lies anymore.
The young generation of academics and journalists.
Oh,
these are the professionals.
Of course. I mean, this is, and then as I always say, I think Manuk Pamukjian quoted me. I think we are now in a stage where this return of memory process is irreversible. So the genes are definitely out of their bottles. I mean, no one will manage to put them back in. So I think that the young generation is not only aware of it, but is working on it in Turkey, but also elsewhere. Of course, it's not easy in Turkish academia to go and for an PhD thesis on the history of Diyarbakir, for instance, finishing 19th century. I mean, he or she, this student, won't find any professor to spearhead his or her PhD thesis. But never mind. I think the
genie is out of the bottle.
It's definitely there. I mean, it's because the denialist position is, frankly, very, very poor.
Well, we've certainly known that for a while, and it's what's the word? Inspiring, encouraging to know that that debate continues both at a public level and at an intellectual level in Turkey. I've been talking to Cengiz Aktar from Istanbul, professor, journalist, public intellectual, and thank you for being here in Yerevan, and thank you for talking with us now and in the past and the future.
Thank you.